Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Lynnea.
And this is Dusted or Busted. This week, the main challenge was to do a little musical called Shade, the Rusical. And first, they had to pick teams, and the way that the team leaders were picked was that the mini challenge, female or she-male, where every queen was shown up-close photos of someone, and they had to guess if it was a biological female or not. My favorite one was when they show Michelle Visage and her cleavage, and Darian Lake goes, "Oh, that's a breastplate, so I'm going to say she-male."
I think that all of the mini challenges so far have been pretty boring.
We need a whatcha-packin'. So the winners of the mini challenge were Adore and Ben De La Creme, so they got to be team leaders, and I was really happy to see Dela in a leadership position.
I was too, because she did such a nice job with this challenge.
Yeah, she was a good leader, and we know Adore can't lead, so... Dela definitely picked the team to beat. Mm-hmm. She picked Courtney, Bianca.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, she picked Courtney first.
Mm-hmm. Smart.
She picked Bianca, she picked Darian Lake, and as soon as she picked Darian Lake starts talking like this. I think it's just hilarious.
If you've seen Hairspray the musical, the mom was originally played by a man who talked like that. Mm-hmm. I loved all the little musical theater references throughout the entire episode. I thought they were hilarious.
Adore picked Milk, Laganja, what the fuck does this say? Jocelyn, and April. In my notes, it looks like Julie. There's no...
We have 3.5 pages of notes each for this episode. With Courtney and Adore, it was definitely Battle of the Idols. And I just thought it was interesting because their voices are good, but they're very different. I personally liked Courtney's better than Adore's, but then again, Adore's singing voice was the only thing she had going for her. When April was cast as, the big girl,
yeah,
I don't care how much padding you put on her. She is so petite. That's never gonna fly.
I would have given Milk the big girl role because she's tall enough to pull it off. It would look proportional on her.
And then in the workroom, oh my god, Gia Gunn's voice. Oh, I have had it up to here with her. I know that you disagree and you don't have any reason to hate her, but I just cannot stand her. I want her to go home so badly. I just can't take anymore.
Her voice was funny, though, because she was the comedy queen, and I thought she was really funny.
It would only be funny if it was her character. That is her voice.
And then they had rehearsals, and Team Dela went out, and Bianca was with Trinity as the pageant queens, and Trinity can't get the moves down. And
it was a simple spin. It was a simple little do-si-do. I don't understand what the problem was.
And Bianca's trying to help her, and Trinity just goes off on her. Trinity, as much as I want to like her, I don't think she's quite suited for this competition.
Mm-mm. Going back to Adore, I thought that when they were out on the runway practicing, her whole act of I don't know, I just kind of hope it works out. It's not funny anymore, and it wasn't funny to begin with. And even in the workroom, RuPaul, when he was walking around, he was talking to Adore and saying, "You're not prepared.
How many times do I have to tell you this?"
Yeah, and it's not okay to not be prepared.
The performance, Act 1, Team Dela. I said Gia was pretty good. I mean, she didn't wow me, but she didn't fall flat
I mean,
on
she
her
doesn't
face.
know what a Tony is, but...
I think that was shady editing. Trinity impressed me at first because I wasn't expecting much out of her, and she did her first line, and it was okay, whatever. That was good. And then from then on, it just kind of was a downward spiral.
Act 1 was so much better than Act 2.
And Dela owned the role as the shady queen.
She did such a good job. I loved her. I loved seeing her in that role. I think she did an amazing job with it. And Courtney Act.
Perfect for that role, first of all.
Oh my god, and the look and that hair and her voice. We watched the episode together and I was having a spiritual moment. I could not contain myself.
So then in Act 2, Milk starts it off because Milk is kind of the same role that Dela was in the first act. And Milk can't carry a tune in a bucket.
Right.
And I didn't...
I know that a lot of people didn't like her look, but That was a reference to Cats and that was an Andrew Lloyd Webber. He also did Phantom of the Opera. In that musical, there's this one role for this old cat named Grisabella, and if you've seen it, like, it makes total sense, but if you haven't seen that musical, because it's not a well-known one, her look totally, like, didn't really work. But I got it right away, but I can see where it would be really misinterpreted.
In the second act, Adore played Evil Penny, and her singing...
Bad Penny.
Yeah.
Not just Evil Penny. Bad Penny.
Yeah. Her voice was what we were expecting, because she sang the whole entire episode, but that look, I was a little bit confused by.
Right. It just wasn't as pulled together as Courtney. The, like, big girls, and it was Jocelyn, April, and Laganja. And I feel like they all just kind of got lost in the shuffle, except for April, because of how poorly she was doing. But it was not for lack of trying. She really put forth an effort, and I think she worked really hard. It wasn't going to happen in a matter of hours. It just wasn't.
But I will say this whole challenge was a giant undertaking. Like, I thought the ballet last season was huge.
I thought that was a lot, but that pales in comparison to this.
To this, they have to act, they have to sing, they have to dance. Holy
They have to do a costume for their character plus a runway look.
So who was your favorite look on the runway?
I'm going to go with Bianca Del Rio because, first of all, the color of the dress and the color of the hair looked like heaven on her skin. I thought it looked amazing. And what she wore on the runway, I don't know if any of you have seen Hello Dolly when Barbra Streisand was in it. The marquee for that whole production, what Barbra Streisand is wearing is exactly what Bianca was wearing. So I don't know if it was intentionally supposed to be a reference to that, but I got that immediately, and I was living for it because I love Barbra Streisand and I love Bianca, and I thought her look was beautiful.
This was already right up Bianca's alley because she is a Broadway seamstress.
How about you? Who was your favorite on the
My
runway?
most dusted on the runway was Darien Lake, which may come as a surprise to you, but I really liked it. I like the hair, and it's risky to do smaller hair on a bigger queen.
She looked beautiful,
She
though.
did. She looked like Adele.
Oh, and her face was painted, and those bangs looked so cute.
And that dress was really good.
Oh, she looked amazing. Most busted on the runway. Ooh, can I guess what you're going to say? Can I guess?
You already know what I'm going to say.
Milk!
How'd you know? So the shoes weren't good. She was wearing, like, red socks. Like, the ugliest red socks that your grandma wouldn't even wear. And that dress fit okay. Like, it was a fine dress. Dress, not bad. Dresses go good.
Just take out the pillow underneath.
Take out the pillow underneath. And then also don't make it look like you have a mustache around your lips. And then blend in your hairline.
I also didn't like Adore's look on the runway. I didn't think that dress was great. I kind of agree with Michelle that, yes, she should be snatched in the middle. However, if we're going to talk about that, let's talk about the rest of the look first, because there are bigger problems that need to be solved with that look than just how her waist looks, in my opinion.
Yeah, at least Santino brought up the length.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing.
That was the other thing about the runway is when queens are safe, there's no deliberation to talk about their runway look. And Milk has been safe so many times that I really want to know what the judges think of her look.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what Michelle thinks. I want to know what Santino thinks. I think that this week, these guest judges would have been amazing to talk about every single person's look, but there just wasn't enough time.
Right.
So Courtney won the whole shit and caboodle, which was amazing. And I think everybody saw that coming. And then Trinity ended up in the bottom two along with April. The lip sync was really good, though. I thought this lip sync rivaled that of Miss Coco and Alyssa.
And then Trinity pulled out that fan.
And both April and Trinity did a great job. April was fighting for her life. Not just lip syncing, fighting for her life.
With the exception of She Who Shall Not Be Named, every single person who's fallen into the bottom two this season has given it everything that she has to stay in this game.
This week's Untucked, things finally got interesting.
Bianca and Trinity are really interesting together. And they have been since day one.
That dynamic is so intriguing to me.
When Trinity came in and was just silent until now.
You are so right. Day one. Friction. And
I just love
this episode, it all blew up.
Bianca was talking about Trinity's, like, attitude to being here. She misses her home, she misses this and that. And then it was really funny because they cut to the workroom, and Trinity's like, I know you guys don't care, but I miss my family. And Darian's like, oh, we don't care because we're cold, heartless bitches, right? And I was like, even Darian Lake is getting in on this.
Mm-hmm. And Bianca just straight up said, well, you knew that going into this, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, are you surprised? And I don't think that was Bianca so much reading Trinity specifically. She was just saying, we are all dealing with the same stuff. We are all in the same boat. We all have to work under intense pressure, and there are lots of things that we wish we could change. But we can't, because we're here to win. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, when it comes to RuPaul's Drag Race, who wins is the people who don't completely crack under pressure.
I'd have to agree with that, yeah.
And who can deal with the adversity the best.
And then Milk and Gia started talking because Gia really didn't like Milk's look. And Gia was talking to her about, like, at the end of the day, drag is dressing up like a girl, and I don't see femininity in your outfit. With Bianca asking, were you ready to defend it? And Milk said, yes, because this is what I would wear to the Tonys. Now, remember back in season 1, the Oprah Winfrey Challenge, when Chanel wore that pleather, like, coat dress with the high collar, mm-hmm. and RuPaul is going, are you sure that someone who is on television, like, as a TV host would wear this? And Chanel goes, oh, yeah, well, I know I would wear it. I'm fine with it. Mm-hmm. And RuPaul doesn't like it, and in that episode, Chanel ended up in the bottom 2.
Because they didn't
like her outfit, and it didn't fit with the challenge. It's not what someone would wear on TV. This episode, Milk comes out wearing God knows what, and if she were Chanel, she would have been put in the bottom 2 for it. But she says, oh, well, this is what I would wear to the Tonys. Even though no one would actually wear that to the Tonys, she's fine.
I cannot believe I'm saying this, but props to Gia for speaking her mind and asking about the look. Because we've been reading Milk on her look for a long time. And I'm glad to see that Gia has an opinion.
And then Jocelyn Fox, of all people,
she tries to jump in on this.
Yeah.
I just had multiple issues with this entire conversation because the word ignorant was said 87 times. Nobody seemed to know what that word actually means. And for a while, I did not know what they were saying. I couldn't even follow the conversation. But Laganja, this week, I've had it with you.
So she starts talking after the message, like everyone always talks about themselves a little bit after the message, and then Bianca's actually showing humanity for once. She's like, oh, is it about you being gay? Is it about this? Is it about that? Because the first episode, Bianca wasn't there. She didn't get filled in on all of this stuff. So Laganja basically repeated everything she said from episode 1. And then Bianca's like, well, I think you're a great person, and I agree with everything they said, except that you're going to win. Because that's Bianca. She makes those jokes. And then everyone laughs, ha ha ha, they kiki.
That's the thing, and it wasn't supposed to be rude.
And Bianca said, I was trying to lighten the mood.
Right.
And then everyone just starts talking about their own relationships with their families. Like, that's just...
Laganja's eyes are getting redder and redder, and maybe her eyelash is falling off of her face.
Smoking weed, but it's just a natural flow of conversation that, like, oh, that's what your family is like? Well, what's your family like? And what's your family like? And then Laganja
just freaks out and basically says, this is about me, this is my moment, and I'm going to spread my wings and fly. And I was like, all right, fly on out of here.
It's not that I'm not sympathetic. It's that since the first episode, I haven't seen Laganja's work speak for her. And that's something that we've been talking about this whole time, is that these queens should let their work speak for themselves. And Laganja's all about TV. The top and the bottom girls come back into the lounge, and Trinity goes on about, well, I tried really hard, but... And then she did this thing where I immediately thought of Alyssa Edwards. I may not be a singer, or a dancer, or a damn seamstress. Like, Trinity almost word for word repeated exactly what Alyssa Edwards was saying.
And I love when she said, I like a lot of makeup and big hair and lots of jewelry. I don't know.
And then they just start reading Trinity, and then Trinity gets defensive, and there's not much to say about that.
There's not much to say about Trinity. She's defensive and she's lazy.
As Bianca said, this is getting good, and for once it ain't my fault.
So this week's shade list. First, I'm going to start with Miss RuPaul. When she introduced the judges, she always introduces Michelle and Santino first. And Ru says, from Breast Side Story, Michelle Visage, which was funny. And then she goes, from the Book of Morons, Santino Rice! Oh, the shade of it all. Trinity's obviously on my shade list because she just had a terrible attitude and she was fighting with everybody and I just did not appreciate anything about her. Also on my shade list is Adore because
she gets read by Michelle.
She was read for filth by Michelle, which I appreciated. And just when Adore says, I'm a better drag queen than I'm showing you.
Then show it.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? We're on episode 4, which means you're almost out of dresses anyway, so you might as well get going. I feel like Gia's just eternally on my shade list. She's never going to get off that damn list, not once! Also on my shade list was Laganja because of her selfishness, which we've already said plenty about that. And then, of course, the other eternal spot on my shade list is the editing. So that was my shade list for this week. Do you have anyone to add?
I think you covered it. Now we can talk about our dusted and busted of the week. Who's your dusted of the week?
Courtney Act. It's gotta be Courtney. She killed it in the competition. I did like Bianca's runway look better. But overall, she has to be my most dusted of the week.
I have to agree with you. And did we not predict last week that Courtney would win this whole challenge? And who was your most busted? The feeling we agreed on this, too.
Yeah. But you're probably going to say Milk.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're going to say
I'm going to say Trinity. Because this whole fucking challenge, she had a bad attitude from the moment Dayla brought her to her team.
I would say a close second, though, would be Milk, just because she didn't really deliver.
She didn't wow me in that fucking runway.
But I feel like we're beating the dark horse.
It's really sad that April Carrion had to sashay away.
I am
back
upset
to Puerto
about that.
Rico.
I think that she deserved to be in the bottom 2. Yes. However, she should have stayed based on just her attitude alone and the fact that she tried and she was working her butt off. April's going to be fine because there's always miscongeniality.
I think she could make All-Stars.
Yeah.
It's Snatch Game! Everyone's favorite challenge.
Snatch Game!
Bianca's Judge Judy. Trinity is Nicki Minaj. Darian Lake is Paula Deen. Gia Gunn is Kim Kardashian. Ben De La Creme is Maggie Smith. Courtney Act is Fran Drescher. Laganja Estranja is Rachel Zoe. I don't know who the fuck Jocelyn Fox is. Like, she said the name, and first of all, I couldn't understand what she was saying, and second of all, I couldn't even, think, oh, that kind of sounds like this name, and I didn't know who that's going to be. Milk is Julia Child, and Adore is Anna Nicole Smith. Trinity's going to be in trouble because Nicki Minaj isn't someone who's easy to make funny.
You can't make her funny, and
Trinity's not funny.
And she can't act.
Darian's going to be fine because she's funny and Paula Deen is funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think Milk might actually do pretty well.
She might. We'll see if she can pull off a character like that.
I think Adore is actually going to do a good job, too. I think Laganja's going to do pretty bad. I think Bianca's going to do all right. Jocelyn is going to...
I don't know what Jocelyn's going to do. I can see her ending up in the bottom, too. And I don't know how Courtney's going to do either. Because Fran Drescher's hard to pull off.
Because the only thing that's funny about her is her voice.
Gia Gunn should play her. I think bottom 2 for next week is going to be Jocelyn, and I think it's going to be Trinity. Or Laganja. I guess those are my 3 that I think would be in the bottom. Those 3, more so than anyone else. And I think the winner of the whole thing will be Darian Lake.
I was going to say Darian Lake or Bianca Del Rio.
Just based off of some of the surprises that we've seen from people, and now that we have a better grasp on who they truly are, I'm going to say top 5. Courtney, Bianca, Dayla, I'm looking off of his list, Milk, because I think she's going to just get shuffled in the middle and work her way to the top. And I don't know who the fifth one is going to be.
This is a tough one.
This is really...
Because I thought fucking Kelly Mantle was going to make it really far, and I thought Vivacious should have made it really far.
At least a couple more episodes. Maybe they'll bring Vivacious back and she'll make top 5. I don't know.
Oh, God. Like, this is hard for me, too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know 4 of my 5. Dela, Darian Lake, Bianca Del Rio, Courtney Act, and...
So we agree on those 4. I don't know who the 5th one would be. I honestly
Milk or Gia. I feel like they're going to pick one of those two. Like how they kept Alyssa and Coco together for as long as they could.
Top 5 is going to be hard to tell this time. Which is why I'm hoping some of them get out of the middle and fall on either side.
And they start showing us that they can do something.
Mm-hmm.
This was our episode of Dusted or Busted. Comment below with who you think the bottom 2 should have been, who the winner should have been. Tell us your new thoughts on the Queens now that we're a couple episodes in. And don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. Thanks.
Thanks for watching.
This week, in honor of our fallen queen, Miss April Carrion, we're going to make the Keep Calm and Carrion. So since she's from Puerto Rico, we decided to use a lot of rum for this drink. So the first is like the bottom shelf of the bottom shelf. We went cheap for this one. Castillo Silver Rum. We're going to use an ounce of that. And this is just a little bit of Aero Blue Curacao liqueur.
I can't get it open!
Do you need the strong hands of a man?
Yeah.
Oh, look like I haven't learned anything in my women's studies course. And this is Bacardi 151, and it's called 151 because that's the proof of it. So it's got a lot of alcohol in it. We're going to put just a little bit of this in because with this, a little bit goes a long way. That might be too much. And then finally, we're going to top it off with both pineapple juice and grapefruit juice. It's not quite as pretty as April. Here's the April Carrion. You know, it does kind of look like a muddy beach. So we're gonna drink it.
Thanks for watching.